spraying Manus. You can use any wallboard gun that you want to use. It's just a matter of modifying it with this elbow. The elbow costs about $6 or $7. It's not very expensive, and that way you can spray down. When you have your surface done, you need to prep it, clean it, pressure wash, make sure all loose dust, debris, if you have any unsound areas, they need to be removed. Everything needs to be clean. Patch your deeper areas, and then flow coat it. And you can use regular flow coat and a regular light gray color, depending on what grout joint color you want. That needs to be your first color. We have 5 colors in the line: brown, charcoal, which would be a dark gray, terracotta, and buff, and red. But whatever your grout color is going to be, has to be mixed and put in first. And you'll just apply that with a squeegee. And if you have a gauge rate, try to keep it to the nominal thickness. Once that material's set up, come back the next day, put down your stencil, tape off all the areas with plastic that you don't want to spray, because you'll have about a 18 to 2 foot overspray at times around the edges. So if you've got windows, walls, natural areas, anything that affect that you don't want this material on, cover it with plastic, tape it off, and then when everything's set and dry after you're through, you can just take that off. This stencil right here is a non-stick stencil. I don't care for the ones that stick, because when you try to pull the stencil up after you're done, a lot of times it's jerky and the flakes and stuff fall up and land on your product, and you can't get to it to get it off. If not, it's loose material that lands on there, and you still can't get to it to get it off, and it's never going to land pretty. It's always going to be off. You got to be careful whenever you're doing it. You want to stay on top when you're walking across it, and you just got to duck walk. You just make sure you pick up your feet so you don't get them caught in the stencil. And then spray in a type of circular pattern so that it looks irregular. You don't want it to be a nice, if you do it straight, it's going to look awful. You just want to try to go in a circular motion and get nice, decent coverage depending on what you want your finished look to be. It's not a bad idea to take a board prior to, set it to the side, put your stencil on it, play with different color combinations, different type of surfaces, because once it is sprayed down, if you put enough material down, you can actually do a knockdown surface on it and get a cool deck look and a cool deck effect. But I would definitely try me a mock-up board, try to see what I want to try to get and what look matches my house or my decorative areas or whatever the best. Do not pull the stencil up until you're done. And don't leave the stencil on once it's hard. You want to try to get up as soon as you can, because you don't want it there permanently. You don't want to sit there and fish it off. Remove the stencil. You may see these little balls. We got a sample up here. We'll show you a little bit. You may see these little balls that are in the grout joint. Don't try to clean those right away, because you're going to end up smearing that on your grout color. Give it a couple of days, either with a stiff brush with shop broom. It'll pop those right off. It'll be nice and clean, and you can go wash it and give it some time to dry and see. You should be good.
Also, the product we're going to use is called the Flow Coat product. It's sold at Zachary. Zachary product sold at your Home Depot, the nearest Home Depot, or home centers. And to get to this, you can also use the Flow Coat if you have a scaled driveway, crack, something pretty ugly, to say the least. You can take this and repair the driveway first, do a nice coating over it, even a fine-proof finish, leave it as is, or even use it as your base, as Lee has just explained, putting a color in to use as your grout joint color. But again, it is a repair for crack, overlays, scaled driveways, uneven surfaces up to a ½ inch. So again, you can make it look pretty first, and then put your stencil on top, so you don't have to have a perfect substrate prior to starting.
Well, what we're going to do is go ahead and, our first color is obviously charcoal. We've got that down to our street paint. The first color we're going to mix is red. We have our water already pre-measured in the container, and we always mix powder to water. When you're using a pigment, disperse your pigment into the water prior to, that way you get better pigment dispersal. If you try putting it in the powder, sometimes you may get little clumps, and as you're spraying and they hit, you may not see them until after it rains, and you'll get that burst. And it may be pretty in that one spot, but it's not going to be pretty if it's just in one spot. So we want to try to make sure our pigment is dispersed pretty well inside the container prior to.
So what we're doing first is we're going to pour our pigment into our water. And what Lee's doing here, he's going to pre-mix to make sure he gets all the logs to get a uniform.
you want to come up and look, you're more welcome to come and look. You don't have to beat it to death, just make it look like a colored mud and it's fine.
As soon as you have your pigment loaded, mixed in thoroughly, then you go on and put in your powder.
Now be careful with this material. If you have nice shoes or shoes that you want to keep, don't wear them doing this. Use old shoes or boots, and you'll be fine. And your jeans, make sure you wear old jeans because they're going to be tied out of it. Stop while you're mixing to scrape the sides. Make sure you don't have any gray material and get everything down in there so you've got a nice even mixture. If you want to come and look, come up and look, see how it looks.
Can this be used for vertical applications as well?
No, it will run. It will run down the wall. He asked if this could be used for a vertical application. I wouldn't use it for a vertical application only because the material would want to slump and run, and it would probably run behind your stencil, so it wouldn't do you much good anyway.
That just means that this segment is over.